welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I have to say, another segment of my story times after the fraud. And the topic of this one will be the treatment of the UK police. And it's not going to be an easy one. I always had a lot of faith to, police and the justice system, and hoping that your criminal was going to go to jail. After I had returned to London from acute psychiatric ward in Norway, and I felt I needed to come home, like London felt like home, and I wanted to take my ordinary life back. I just want to go back to work. I love my job and I love my co-workers, and I was like, I just need to get back to work. So what happened was that I went back to work very quickly, thinking if I can just have 8 hours where I don't think about this and what I got myself into, then that is good for my mental health. I had received a lot of emails while I was gone, while I was in hospital, and when I came back, I opened up my emails as you usually do in a corporate job. I worked at that time as a user experience designer in an IT company. And then I see the email. The subject line is warning. It's from Simon, and it's sent several days ago, but I hadn't even seen it. He had sent it both to my professional email and my private email. And it read like this. I had followed Amex's advice to not report it in UK up until this. I had trusted them that they were going to compile the cases, but I contacted the person that I had a lot to do with at Amex, and I looked at him at that point as a dad that took care of me in London. He had said to me when he was interviewing me, like, if someone had done this to his daughter, and so I called him crying that I couldn't wait to go to the police, that now he's making death threats towards me, even worse. He's threatening my family, my friends. He knew where my mom lived, and he wrote "we" as well. I think that is very important to know. It's not just him. He had people with him. So I was at work, and I just totally broke down. I think that was the first time where I was like bawling my eyes out. Our co-workers were the best. They came running like with napkins and like wondering what was going on, and then I showed a threat, and then I just need to go to the police. My contact at Amex asked me to go to a specific police station, and I have with me a co-worker, a friend now with me there, and then it's closed. And I hope people, like, when you're in a very traumatic situation and when you're almost having a panic attack, I just crumbled again, and I called him, and I was yelling, and I was like, where can I get some help? Why is it closed? Like, why did you send me to? I needed to report this. I needed to feel that something was going on in the land that I was living in and working in. And he said that he knew someone at another police station that he would inform, and that they would take care of me. And then he asked me that they can take you in at 2 p.m. And this was maybe at 10 a.m. or something. So I traveled down there by myself, and then I just had to wait for an hour while I was shaking, while I was like, at this point in time, this is May 2018, I did not know what this guy was capable of doing. And that was terrifying. I then go in, like totally distraught, into the police station, you know. Like finally I'm feeling again, you know. Everything had just come up. And I go in and they are just totally like, don't give a damn. Because there's so many who comes in, you know, with everything. So why should they care about me? So I said that I have an appointment. It's like, no, there's no one taking appointments here. And again, I just sobbed. And I said, I've been told that there's someone waiting for me, that someone has been informed. No, then they're like, so I'm sending so many messages, like saying that no one is waiting here. And my contact couldn't talk to me. And I was just like sitting there crying and crying and crying in the waiting room at this police station. And I was scared as well because I had this horrible experience with Norwegian police, how I felt that they didn't take it serious. And I thought this time around was going to be easier or better, more heartfelt, more empathetic. And then they were just horrible. After I waited for some time, I finally got to speak to a woman, and it was like glass between us. It wasn't in a room, so I was sitting outside and she was sitting there with a glass in front of her. So I started explaining what had happened, how much I've lost, what I had been through. She was a bit skeptical at start. I could see the same type of thing, but how things changed as I got into the story. How much more empathetic, how much more details she took. She wanted to know the flight number, where we took it. She took in the check that I had received from him as evidence. I was in there for 4 hours giving this testimony. She reported it or put me in the category of domestic abuse because I thought it was my boyfriend. And even if it's mental abuse, physical abuse, it's still abuse. So I was really lucky that when she filed it as such, I was viewed that it was emotional as well and not just fraud as money. And I think that is extremely important for fraud victims, that the police understand the mental abuse that you have been enduring. Not all abuse is physical. And I still feel to this day that I entered into a sexual relationship with someone that I did not give my consent to. So after 4 hours, I was out. I felt relieved. It was so nice that it was finally reported. My contact at Amex as well was sending me several messages wondering how I was doing after all of this. It's weird for me to go back in time because I went back in time to see those messages, and it's sad to see the hopelessness that I felt. That I just wanted him caught, and that I felt that. I think I felt that as well, that no one was really doing anything. Sorry. As well, I asked, can I contact any of the other victims? Because I felt so alone. And I got no from him, that it would destroy the investigation, and it wasn't good if I did so. I had, while I was having these conversations with Amex, that at the time made me feel that I had someone in my corner, you know, that was working for me. And I could see what kind of criminal I had been enduring, that knew of this guy, that knew what he was doing to his victims, and how difficult it was for us to get out of it when you were first caught. I then was talking and emailing with the police, and at that point in time I was so scared of getting no caller IDs. I didn't want to take them because I was so scared it was going to be Simon and I. I was not ready for it. So some of it was like that. I don't dare take the phone call if it's no caller ID. Can you please tell me when you're going to call? Sorry. And then they were, wanting me to explain more. They wanted a bit more information, and that was totally fine. The more information I could give, I said that I had the entire WhatsApp chat, and I would do whatever. And he says that he wants to do a thorough talk. Like, as you can see from this email, he really wants to have more of a conversation with me so we can go through more in detail, because this is a complicated case. We set the time, and then I get, no, we're not. They just had so much, and they had the documents that I'd sent to American Express and they didn't need, but he will come back to me. And throughout autumn, you can see how I am every single second or every month asking what is going on. At this point in time, I have already contacted VG, the newspaper, the Norwegian newspaper, because I just had an iffy feeling that the police were not doing what they were supposed to do. At the same time, my contact at Amex was sending me that he's in discussion with Germany and Netherlands, and he seemed to me like, with the discussions we were having, was not a question if, it was when, and that Simon would, of course, work so hard not to be in jail. But as you can see, the evidence is overwhelming, and I felt that we were going to get this guy. But as time went by, I think I slowly lost faith, and I was so happy that I had contacted media. As you can see, I was saying, he's out there defrauding people now. And knowing now what he did, well, I was trying so hard towards Pernilla and Eileen, and that I could have done something. It's very tough. I haven't gone back to the text messages before now, and it's very painful to see, or the emails, to see how much I was fighting, knowing that he was still out there doing this to other people, using their love, using their trust, using their goodness and empathy against them. Oh, I'm not gonna cry on throughout this entire thing. It's just ended up very weird with the police. Amex came a bit off the back fold, because in reality Amex can't do much. So while I was talking to them, I was still receiving this, Crown Prosecution Services needs to look at the case, and I was scared. I just had a bad feeling. At this point, I had still not been into any taking in a formal statement where they could put up a timeline or ask for my WhatsApp chat. Not a single piece of evidence had they obtained from me. The WhatsApp chat is my evidence, thank God. And some emails that I received from Simon as well. But to not take in the most crucial part of evidence, I reported in May 2018. So I was still in November, December here, asking what is going on. I knew that the first Tinder swindler was going to come out. I knew that police would get questions why things haven't been done. So I gave them ample opportunities. Even late January, I asked what was going on. The first Tinder swindler then comes out, and the one that the VG made, and everything blows up. Everything blows up, and I can imagine that police got questions from journalists. What is going on? Cecilia reported what is going on. I don't remember in detail, but what I do remember from April is that I am out and about, and I get a phone call, and I take it up, and I said, hi, and it's a police officer that's, hi, it's Sergeant XX. I'm standing outside your apartment, but you're not home. My heart sank. I am not a stupid person. I know that police is not coming on your door unattended if it's not bad news or something. And I asked several times, but why are you there? No, we just wanted to have a chat. Yeah, have a chat. And I told them I moved. I moved in August. This was April. They were standing outside my old flat. I said, if you would have any contact with me, if you would have informed me properly, if you would have done things correctly, you would have known that I had moved. But when you talk to police, it's not much you can do. I was shit scared. I was so scared. First of all, like the first Tinder swindler had come out. He was still out there on the loose. I'd gotten so much hate online. The banks were not giving up. And I heard nothing from the police. What I learned throughout all of this, silence is scary. Something bad always happens when you don't hear anything for a while. So I have to ask them I need to let them come to my new place. I give them the new address and I ask them, why can't I come to the police station? Why do you have to come to my home? And I said, well, it's best that way. And then they come, two civilian dressed officers come then into my home with body cameras with a warrant for the confiscation of my phone. That I was a suspect, and their case was that I had defrauded American Express with Simon. This was April 2019, almost a year after I reported it. At this point in time, I had a total meltdown. I was like banging my head on the table and never playing good cop, bad cop with me. I was so mad at the sergeant and the police officer that I've been talking to, making me feel safe, that they were on my side, they understand my frustration. To wait that long. They used half a year to just check his identity. Amex knew, VG knew. How much time does it take? So when you have confirmed his identity, the first thing is that you go after his victim after almost a year. I understand that police needs to check, but to do it this way towards someone that you know have done everything in her power to give you the evidence earlier. This WhatsApp chat you could have gotten in May 2018. And if I was a true criminal, of course I would have gotten rid of it. I was so mad. And I'm still very mad. I was like, you can't just take my phone. That's my entire life. People know now that your phone is your life. If you give me my phone, I can call my mom. I can't do anything. And they said, you can't get your phone back. So they call my mom from their phone and then tell her what happened. And I don't think I even remember. I don't remember. But I had my psychology appointment that day. Luckily, thank to God, so they drove me there because I didn't have a phone or anything. And it was just so weird how they changed. I don't know if their body cameras were suddenly off because it was done. But in that car, how sweet they were. They were like, we know who the true criminal is, Cecilia. We just need to do this. And I was talking about my charity that I've just started the same month. And I was like, oh, if we knew, we will send everyone to you. It was such a difficult time for me to talk to someone that had just, I felt violated me in a sense that I was like, after a year, you're coming with this. So you're saying I've had a false sense that I'm the victim in this for many months. What is going on there and what has happened? The evidence is in that WhatsApp chat. They could have gotten that from me. Why didn't they? Why did they have to make me a suspect? So what's happening after that is that I have to go into questioning at the police station as a proper suspect. It was not how I was thinking it would be back in August 2018. When I entered that in May 2019, thank God I had a lawyer. I was still very naive to things. I was like, it's almost like, you're a victim. You tricked, you were defrauded yourself. And he entered the police station. People can't imagine how utterly terrifying it is to be a suspect of a crime that you did not commit. Simon Leviev is using people. I think they took the easiest target to move ahead with the investigation. And I was in London. I didn't try to escape. I have nothing to hide. Before I went into the questioning, I had a meeting with my lawyer where I read their case against me. That I had met Simon Leviev in January 2018, decided together with him to defraud American Express, and then sent in the documents. Those documents is the biggest regret I've ever had. I thought I was in the system of LOD Diamonds. Even though I hadn't worked there properly, I thought that in the systems I would be. Sounds very stupid now. And I thoroughly regret what I did. So I thought I was prepared. I talked to my lawyer. Thank God I had him. If you've never been questioned as a suspect, you don't really know what you're heading yourself in for. So you go in there. There's 2 police officers, they record everything using DVDs, which was really special. And then they go hard on you. They were like showing me the documents that I had sent over, if I've seen them, if it says that I'm living in New York. And to be very frank and honest with you, I didn't even look at them properly myself before I sent them in. I think people need to understand I was such in a heightened sense of emergency when this happened. You had really much control over me. It was horrible to see those documents. Of course, I knew I didn't live in New York. But why didn't Amex caught that? When I applied for the platinum card, I said I lived in London. If they then get documentation that says I live in New York, shouldn't that maybe call me then and ask? It would have helped that things weren't that easy. It was just terrible because they treated me like a proper suspect, like that I was a criminal, that I had done this, that I was like the mastermind, or that it was horrible. I would love to look back on those tapes because I think I lasted maybe 10-15 minutes. And then, oh my God, I'm just thinking back. My lawyer made me say like that I refused to answer any more questions. And every time then the police officer asked me a question, I just had to say that I refused. I think it was done in 45 minutes or something, and then I was out of there. I was a suspect. I knew I was a suspect. And that feeling is horrible, that you never know if you're going to receive something in the mail that indicts you. I was so scared because at this point in time, I didn't have any belief in anything. At this point in time, while I was doing this, I did ABC Nightline. Like, I was still fighting. I was still like wanting him caught. I was doing police's job, like trying to catch this guy. Well, they were trying to catch me. I'm such a small fish in this big scam. Some months go, and I continue to have contact with my lawyer where luckily I could ask him for updates. And then it's amazing. Simon is caught in Greece. I'm at the hairdresser. I do interviews. I'm so happy. But I am trying to get more information. This guy has made death threats towards me. What is going on? I'm at work. I can't work. I think it's horrible. Then I sent an email where I'm saying, you need to let me know, is there an international arrest warrant? What is going on? Who has caught him? At this point in time, we didn't know what he was caught for. We just knew that he was caught in Greece. When we knew it was for a fake passport, we crushed. Where is Interpol? Where is Europol? I got this email where it's just suddenly just get away. Because I'm a suspect, I'm not obliged to get any information about his whereabouts and what is going on. So not only have they taken away my rights as a victim of this guy, they're utterly just treating me like I'm a nobody at this point. Imagine yourself that you've been subjected to something and you're not allowed to know. So the weeks are passing and there's not a single arrest warrant from any European country. I reported this in May 2018. The same company as well. They were working on the same in the UK in August 2018. Then Amex was in contact with, like, in the Netherlands, Germany, even more countries, I'm sure. And not a single country wanted him extradited here in Europe. Why is that? Is the biggest screw up in this entire case that European police haven't done their job. We knew that he would go free because it was just a fake passport in Greece. And then, luckily, Israel said, this is enough. Let's get him back. It was for old stuff back in 2011, but at least there was something. We knew that he wouldn't be released. That year almost that he was in jail was the best year of them all because I felt safe. Not for myself, but I felt safe that he was not defrauding others and destroying other people's lives by using the tactics that he's been using, which is despicable for a human being to use. And that the police doesn't see the severity of what he's done throughout the world is such a sadness for me sitting here. I am just speaking up on behalf of so many other victims in this, both men, women, and companies. So you can judge me all you want for the fake documents I sent in. There's a lot of people that would have deserved justice from this guy in Europe, but they're too afraid to speak up. They're afraid of him, and they're afraid of the police in itself to laugh or to just drop the case. And that is how we're being treated. Like this is nothing serious. He just took your money. Not only took your money, but destroyed you emotionally. Changed your entire conception of what life is. I got a nice surprise as well. That while Sam had been in jail in Greece, he had made a civil lawsuit against me and Pernilla that I had to get from my old address that he knew in London. Same address that the police in UK went to try to find me. So I had to go from my old landlord. I had to get this thick envelope from Ministry of Justice, and I was shaking because remember, at this time, I'm still a suspect. Because going through a WhatsApp chat, how long does that take? So this was September 2019 at this point. Take up the envelope, I'm shaking because I was feeling now I'm being indicted. And then I see Greek letters and I see an English translation, and it's him, our fraudster, who then have the right to file a civil lawsuit against us in Greece for defamation. So he has all the rights and we feel that we have none. For over a year, I keep bothering my lawyer for, what's going on. We're going then into the pandemic, COVID as well, still a suspect. How long does it take to go through a WhatsApp chat? How long does this take? In August 2020, which is one of the worst months of my life, I get an email from the police officer that he wants to have a chat, and my heart is racing. What does he want? What's he gonna say? He needs to update me on the case. And I'm shaking. I'm like, it's been so many, like, what is going on? So I become a bit more savvy and I record. And this is some of what he was saying. I will put the text here, but some of it of what he was saying is that we're dropping the case against you, which was my best news ever. But that mistake I made was gonna haunt me forever, you know. And then he said it's the same, but then we're dropping your report against him as well. They were upholding the report from the company because that is a much easier case to prove. And I think this is where I get so sad for love fraud victims, that this is what you're met with. He said, in a sense, I think something along the lines that it's a bit more serious scam as well. And I mean, if you're actually using emotional abuse, economic abuse, death threats, and have taken over £200,000 from someone, that is such a serious crime on so many levels.
I'm sorry, I'm just very emotional because I was so scared of getting charged. Oh
Yeah.
God, I just was in court in Norway because the banks are taking me to court in Norway, you know. So I just like really,
Oh, really?
yeah. So I had to file for bankruptcy and stuff here, and like it's just been really, really difficult. So I just been so scared about what was gonna happen here. So
To know now, like 2 years later, it took over 2 years before my case was dropped though. But this was the end. That was the end. My case wasn't serious enough. But at this point in time, I was just so happy that I wasn't a suspect anymore, because that had been laying as a cloud for over a year. Over a year, I had been scared every time my phone rang and I didn't recognize the number. Every time I heard a pulling in my email inbox, because I never knew what they would send me. Every letter, it gave me peace. So even though my case was dropped, I was like, but at least I'm not going to jail, because he was never going to go to jail. So I then would have to go to jail for his wrongdoings. The last I was in contact with them on was when the Tinder Swindler documentary movie came out in February 2022. And we heard that there were still people in Germany, and if they could maybe send over my case file or something to them. And I just got this short message back that, well, we'll just see, and he'll contact them. And this was such a difficult thing to film, because I've had this stigma that I've been a suspect, and I've been so scared about what people might think if I say it. What will people think of me? I know I did something wrong, but I didn't feel that the way it was done and the process has been proper. To make a case against someone without a single piece of evidence, and the evidence would make it so quickly known that the story you were trying to tell is not true, because I have the evidence. It's a shame for the Met Police that Simon Levi or Shimon Hayut escaped justice. There's a lot of victims that would have wanted to see him being prosecuted for what he's done here in Europe. This was a bit longer story time, but there's a lot of facets and aspects to this that I hope I have told. So thank you so much for, if you've been listening all the way through, please be kind. I know I've done wrong, but it's still my journey and still the feelings I had, and I felt violated as the easier target in this, because I had nothing to hide. I wasn't trying to escape, because I am a victim of this. I trusted the wrong person in everything. Thank you so much for listening, and if you have any questions or feedback, comment underneath, and yeah, see you at the next one. Bye.